Hello there, Mwalimu once again, aka Simon Chege from Lines Photography, and I'm here with another video about this camera gimbal here, that is the FeiyuTech Scorp 2. So in this particular video, I'm going to be doing the second video about this particular gimbal, and I want to show you guys the gimbal from a closer look and show you guys all the buttons and the ports that the gimbal comes with. So without further ado, let's start from the right. So on the right side of the gimbal, we have the following. Down here we have, of course, the grip. Then on this side, the first button here we have is the A and B buttons. So what you can do with this particular set of buttons, you can set a particular point on any of the axes as your starting point, then set the other point as the end point. So as you're doing that, it's going to mark the first point as point A and mark the second point as point B. Then the gimbal can memorize that and do that kind of the same motion for you. Okay, so you set that by using this A and B button. Okay, then here we have the lock button for the roll axis, this one right here. So by unlocking it like that, you can see the roll axis can go around, but then by locking it like that, the roll axis has been locked. Then here we have the power button, and the power button is going to do three things. And number one, just by tapping it once, back here, the LCD screen will come on and show you what amount of battery you have left. So I have 70 what percent? I have 79% of charge left. So then by long pressing it, of course, you're going to turn on the gimbal. So then coming to this side, we have one of the two base legs for the gimbal on the right side, of course. Then here we have the F2 button. We have this going to be helping you navigate the menu that you have with the touch screen, then also help you save some custom settings. So that then coming up here on the right side, we have the lock mechanism for the camera, because we're going to be putting our camera in here. So this is the lock mechanism for it. Then we have the lock mechanism for the tilt axis. So for this one right here is locked in here. Okay, so that is what you have on the right side of the gimbal. So let's go to the left side. On the left side of the gimbal, we have let's start from the front. Here we have this wheel here, and what this wheel does, it enables you to turn any axis of the camera depending on what you have selected. You can use it to tilt, to pan, or to roll. So whatever this wheel is going to be doing to your camera motion is determined by this button. So by pressing this button, you change between the purpose of this wheel being affecting your pan or your tilt or your roll. Okay, by hitting this button here. Then here we have the FPV button. So by hitting this particular button, the gimbal is going to be more active in following your subject and following your motions as you're shooting with it. Okay, so that is the FPV button. Then up here we have, next to the logo, we have, remember the F2 button on this other side, we have the F1 button here that is going to be useful in navigating the menu and also saving some custom settings. Okay, so coming up towards this other side, here I have the lock mechanism for this arm of the camera, this one right here. Then up here we have the AI sensor. You can see the blue part of the gimbal. That's why you have the AI sensor that is able to track you and frame you in real time when you're using the AI feature of the gimbal. So then here we have two Type-C ports. And I think on this other side, I forgot, we still have two more ports that you can use to connect different devices, and because you can even use a focus puller with this particular gimbal. So I think that is one of the purposes of those particular ports. So that is the left side of the gimbal. Like I said, we have those ports, AI sensor, lock mechanism for that arm, this button here, this wheel here, then this button for changing the purpose of the wheel, the FPV button, of course, the left side of the collapsible leg. Then here we have the F1 button, and let's go to the front of the gimbal. So in the front of the gimbal, you have the following. Number one, we have a charging port down here. So this is where you charge your gimbal from. It is a Type-C. This one right here. So it is a Type-C port that you use to charge the gimbal. Then down here we have the trigger. Of course, any gimbal that you know has a trigger. So this one right here is the trigger that you can use by double tapping it. It is going to reset your camera. Then by triple tapping it is going to rotate the gimbal to selfie mode and have the camera facing you. Okay, so that is the front of the gimbal. Then up here we have the lock for the tilt axis. Let's go behind the camera, behind the gimbal. At the back side, we have the following items. So number one, we have this screen here where you saw me checking on the battery level. It's a touch screen that is going to be giving you all your menu controls. Then below it, we have the record button. This gimbal is compatible with a number of cameras, and now using those particular cameras, you can be in a position to record, take photos, and that using this particular button. Then we have the M button. This is going to be the mode button. Is going to be changing between pan follow, pan tilt follow, FPV, and other modes of the gimbal. Then here we have a jog wheel, of course, for moving the gimbal as we may want to. So in a nutshell, those are the ports and the buttons that we have on the FeiyuTech Scorp 2. And just to refresh over on the right side, F2 button for your menus, power button, lock button for the roll axis, A and B button for setting custom gimbal movements. Then 2 USB ports up here, lock mechanism. Then on the left side, we have the wheel, we have the lock mechanism, this button that determines what the wheel is going to be changing when you rotate it. Then we have the FPV button that is going to be taking us directly to FPV mode. Then you have the F1 button for navigating your menu and changing your custom settings. Then in the front of the gimbal, we have the trigger button. Then we have the charging port here, type C. Then we have the back of the gimbal, we have number one, the touch screen that is going to have for setting your menus and navigating. We have the record button for taking photos with compatible cameras and shooting videos, and we have the M button for changing between the different modes of the gimbal, and we have the jog wheel for rotating the gimbal to our to our preference or to our preferred positions. So in a nutshell, guys, that is the end of this particular video. I'll just taking you guys around the buttons and the ports that come with the FeiyuTech Scorp 2, because I noticed a lot of interest concerning this particular gimbal in the video I did about it. So I'm thinking of doing a series of maybe let's say 10 videos about the FeiyuTech Scorp 2, including how to balance it, including sample footages, including reviewing the AI features and comparing it with other models, for example, the Ronin models and the Weebill models and etc and etc. But in the meantime, that is what we have in the form of buttons and ports for the FeiyuTech Scorp 2. And I'm going to end this video here. Of course, the name is Simon Chege, aka Malimu from Lens Photography, and see you guys in another one.